cake. His brother and his sister were gathered all around him, and there was only one slice there, and they were looking pretty hungrily at this piece of cake. And Billy said, "There's only one piece of cake left, and it's mine." And Mom intervened, and she said, "Billy, in a case like this, what would Jesus do?" To which Billy replied without hesitation, he'd multiply it into 5,000 pieces. So basically, that is what our talk for this week and for the month of September is going to be about, this whole miracle that Jesus performed, and we're going to get into a lot of different aspects of that in order to do the same in our lives. This week and for the month of September, as I said, we're really going to understand this lesson, this miracle that he performed, because there's a profound teaching embedded in this whole miracle of multiplying the loaves and the fishes. In fact, this month we are going to look at the 12 conditions of creating miracles. That's the name of the book that I've been using. Jesus taught this miracle. Within this miracle, there are 12 different conditions that we're going to explore, so that we hopefully can create the miracles of living the lives that we want, that we desire, that we talk about, and really using practically these conditions to create that which seems like a miracle to us. So according to Todd Michael, who's the author of this 12 Conditions of Creating a Miracle, there is nothing supernatural about miracles. When you set up the right conditions, miracles will occur. And Ernest Holmes would agree, because he wrote in his Science of Mind book, that which today seems to be supernatural, after it is thoroughly understood, will be found spontaneously natural. In the mind of the divine, this is a natural creating process of good and more good and more good.
Would you say that again?
For us, okay, sure. That which seems to us supernatural, miracles, after it is thoroughly understood, will be found to be spontaneously natural. And as I was going to explain, it's natural in divine mind to create. For us, when we say a miracle occurred, and it feels good to say that. I like using miracles. I like that word. To us, it seems like miraculous, but it's really the uncovering and the demonstration of our divine good. Charles Fillmore, one of the founders with his wife of Unity, wrote, "God never performs miracles. If by miracle is meant a departure from universal law, whatever the prophets did was done by the operation of laws inherent in being and open to the discovery of every man." We can all do this. We can all do this. The formula, if you will, the formula for entering into consciousness where miracles automatically happen, which would be really awesome, just automatically think, and so it is. The Bible scholars have often thought that there was something unique about this whole story of Jesus' miracle of the loaves and fishes. So that's what we're going to explore today. And there are two important reasons why we are. The first, of all the miracles attributed to Jesus, this is the only one included in all four Gospels. And the second reason is that it is a miracle that Jesus did not perform once, but he actually performed it twice. It's written in Matthew twice. Now watch this carefully, because I will show you how fully, once you get the picture, this is what Jesus was saying. You can almost, he wasn't saying it, but I'm saying that he was saying it. It's kind of like what he was teaching. He's going to show you once so that you can get the picture. And you fully, and then I will show you again so you yourself can do it. This was a man that was a teacher, and he wanted this to be a practical, and it was New Thought, practical spirituality for all of us to understand and to use it, to absolutely use it. There's nothing mysterious and secret to religions, to the divine mind of God. But we have to learn how to access it and then use it with faith and then using it. So it is logical that this master teacher, because he was a master teacher, would want to make sure that we understood how to do it ourselves. Because as we all know, you can teach a person to fish. I mean, you can really, not that, let me say it again. You can feed a person a meal of a fish. But then, for you to actually allow that person to fish for himself, to teach the person how to fish, that is the power. And it's the same, you know, with our charities that we see today, and we've probably heard it said, you can keep giving. You can keep giving and giving and giving to different cultures and different nations. But to teach them to sustain their living, their culture, that's the power. That's the power. And that's what Jesus was doing. Author Todd Michael was frustrated with trying to find a deeper meaning to this whole story as he was reading it. And so in a last-ditch effort, based on his frustration, he began to translate this whole passage of Jesus and the fishes and loaves for himself. So he had to do it in Greek. So he used those original Greek words. And that was not an easy task, as you can imagine. Because Greek, like people say, it's Greek to me, but Greek is a deep and complex language. And so, and plus the culture at that time. So, you know, this is what he set out to do in this book. And I'll give you one example, which I found was really quite fascinating. He said, in the book of John, it is written, in the beginning was the Word. And we've probably all heard that. In the beginning was the Word. Well, the original Greek actually said, in the beginning was Logos, L-O-G-O-S. If you look in a standard Greek to English dictionary, because they have those, you will find the definition for Logos to be 1.5 inches long. And the word, as defined, was the second to last word in the description. If that's not confusing enough, if you look up the term logos in the dictionary of religion and philosophy, you'll find that there are 12 pages defining this term. 12 pages defining this word. So we're going to get to what this really means. So at its most superficial level, logos can refer to a spoken or written word. But more importantly, logos refers to that which gives rise to words, which of course is thought, the thing behind the words, the thing behind the words. Further, logos can it can refer to the creative process, the creative cause. The relationship is what he was trying to really come upon, and he did, the relationship behind the words spoken and the creative power of thoughts to manifest events and circumstances. It's not just the words that create, it's that feeling, that passion, that belief that's underneath the word that is spoken. And that's what he's referring to with logos. It's much more expansive, much more expansive. So the phrase at the beginning of John could actually be more accurately translated as this. In the beginning was a thought with powerful potential, a creative intent that ultimately gives rise to the entire universe. God thought, and so it was. But wow, there's so much more behind that thought, behind that word. So much more. So I said it was really complex. So when Todd Michael, the author of the book, went searching in the original Greek, he actually found a formula. In his inquiry, he found a formula for creating miracles. He found the blueprint, so to speak. He was looking for And the good news about all of this is that we don't have to go searching and studying. He did it already. And we're going to be talking about the 12 conditions that all, when they're used together, create what we call miracles in our lives, which is just simply the manifestation of what we desire to experience, that we talk about. So let's, act about it too. Talk about it and act about it. So we're going to talk about 2 conditions today out of the 12. Before we delve into the first 2 conditions, I want to suggest that something that will make sense to you as you get through all 12 of them, the meaningful and relevant 12 conditions that we're going to be getting into, that are really interesting and really inspiring, but something else that I invite you to think about, something in your life right now, something that you have thought could use a miracle, and you might not have anything like that. Most of us do. I got a couple myself, so I'm really excited about this series because I expect to manifest. Yes, by October. Wow. All is well now, but we're just going to manifest a few more things to make it even more wow, the bigger wow. So I invite you to think about something in your life right now that you could use a miracle. Or something at this point that you don't see this manifesting, that you've been doing prayer work around, that you've been really trying to have this demonstration and it's not showing up. Think about that. It could be a dream or a goal as part of the larger vision of your life. Pick something that seems that from where you sit today, it seems like it's out of reach. And then as we work through these talks, as I said, and apply these 12 conditions, we will discuss it and we'll see what happens. Let's see what happens. We have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Correct?
Yes.
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 So today we're going to look at 2, I'll wake everybody up today. We're going to look at 2 conditions of a miracle. The first one is emptiness, and the second one is alignment. Interesting, right? Emptiness and alignment. I'm going to have paper next week with some things on it so that we can continue keeping notes on the 12 of these. So let us explore the first condition of a miracle, which is found in the first passage in Matthew. At first glance, it seems like a statement of fact with no lesson in it. It's just a statement, something that happened. Nothing could be further from the truth. So in Matthew 14, verse 13, it read, "When Jesus heard of it, he departed thence by boat, alone, to a desert place." And in that statement, because the metaphysical interpretation of the Bible is like there's so much depth and meaning and accessibility in that. So in this statement, revealed is a condition that must always initiate a miraculous event. So what is the desert really? The desert. It's dry, arid place that is virtually devoid of any substantial resources. Desert has no food, no water, no shelter, no edible vegetation, but more importantly, a desert has no people, no noise, no distractions, no books, no words, nothing. A desert is a place of profound isolation, a place of silence, a place of emptiness. So the first condition is emptiness. In actuality, Jesus went into the desert and put himself in a place of emptiness. He put himself in a vacuum, because a vacuum is empty. It possesses tremendous potential to be filled. We have probably all heard the statement that nature abhors a vacuum, because the good of God will always fill an empty space, but we clog up. We don't even cloud it, we clog up our energy, the flow of life, with our beliefs and our thoughts and our thinking, and we're creating scenarios. So we clog it all up, so there is no room for the good, for the miraculous, if you will, to take place, because it's full. So, because it is empty, this vacuum, it is a place of emptiness that is begging to be filled. It's begging to be filled. The good of God is always present, and it's waiting for us to recognize it, to allow it to flow in our lives. And here's how Todd Michael describes what occurs when we create from a place of emptiness. Remember, emptiness, we're emptying. Consider for just a moment what it would be like to be within a vacuum. Imagine that you are sitting somewhere, he writes, and all the air, all the matter, all the energy, all the light immediately surrounding you is taken away. What kind of things would you observe from this vantage point? You would see everything rushing toward you. You would see energy and resources automatically flowing toward you from every direction. Why? Because the principle that everyone knows, nature abhors a vacuum. There's no emptiness in God, remember? So when we create an empty space, that comes rushing in. The good of God comes rushing in to fill it up, and that good of God is our good. So whatever state of emptiness, I'm continuing with him, whatever state of emptiness or lack is created, nature immediately mobilizes to fill it. And what is nature? He writes, let me be very clear, of course, it's spirit. We're talking about God, spirit. Spirit abhors a vacuum. A vacuum is a state, a condition. When carefully looked at, any miracle can be shown to have started with this condition. The miracle of the loaves and fishes begins the same way. Jesus put himself in a vacuum by going into the desert. Yet nature, that force of creation, could then begin to form, So how can you go into the desert in your own lives?
Meditation.
Oh no, you get thumbs up, honey. You set it up with your meditation practice. That's it. Just sitting there in silence in the breath work, opening to the good of God, opening to divine wisdom, to that knowledge to flow through you, because it will. That's the amazing thing. When we turn off our minds, our thoughts, our thinking, all of a sudden we're inspired. All of a sudden answers are provided. Solutions to what we could not solve up here become apparent to us. So, Michael's writes, the ability to access a meditative state. So I don't care who you read, what they say, they all will talk about meditation. Everybody will talk about meditation. That is the place that you begin, because that is the place that you are communing with the divine in you and without you, because it is everywhere. So he writes, the ability to access a meditative state is vital to the success of your dream, your miracle. Within it is knowledge, and knowledge is power. And it is power, the right kind of spiritual power that we spoke of all last month, that will allow you to change things. We all know that knowledge, information, although Don Miguel Ruiz, I think of the book, Don Miguel Ruiz would not agree with that, because he said wisdom, not knowledge. But we're using knowledge here because knowledge is power. Knowledge of our awareness of where we are in life and what we're thinking and what we're feeling. That kind of information helps us to manifest our dreams. And often it is not at that at that place of conscious thought that we're manifesting them from. We set the intention from that place. It is deeper than that, because we are tapping into a deep communion with the divine through our meditative practices. Miracles unfold not by magic, but by knowledge. Money will not magically appear in your wallet. It would be cool, but I don't think it magically just appears in your wallet. The perfect job will not just drop into your lap if you're sitting around eating potato chips and watching TV. A soulmate will not materialize from thin air and ring your doorbell, although all things are possible in God. I know someone that met their husband. He was a UPS delivery. So anyway, I digress. All things are possible. That person had a strong consciousness. That's pretty miraculous.
That's great.
So disease will not inexplicitly heal as you continue to think negative thoughts and abuse your body. So again, instead of going into the desert by creating the vacuum through meditation, you will receive, instead, by going into the desert, by going into our meditative state, you will receive the guidance that is necessary. But the work that you're doing here is the meditative work. In meditation, you'll receive insights, revelations, knowledge into how to bring your miracle into physical manifestation. Have a divinely inspired idea for generating financial good. This happens. You will come to understand how to go about curing whatever disease you've been diagnosed with, and where to look for your perfect job, or who you need to become to attract, be that vibrational frequency to attract that soulmate, I like to call them partners, into your life. So meditation creates the vacuum inwardly and allows us to tap into that eternal wellspring of good that is within us. We have to know that there is a wellspring of good within us. That is our divinity. That is the guiding force in our life, because our bodies are matter. And Emma Curtis Hopkins says matter doesn't exist. Well, it looks like it exists, but what if the divine I, were not in this body? Would it exist? Would your body exist if the divine I was taken out of it? I don't think so. So that's the divinity we're speaking of. That power that is within each and every one of us, that's what we're speaking about. So we need to create a state of emptiness to allow, and the emptiness is of our thinking, to allow that infinite knowledge and well-being and guidance to come forth. So here's how this works, and see if you can relate. Have you ever had an appearance of lack in your life? It could be money, love, opportunity, jobs, whatever it is you want. And found yourself clinging desperately to what you had. Anyone? Yes? You're in, say, you lost your job and you want another job, but you're clinging on to that old job. Remember that everything moves in cycles. Everything is in that flow, that divine flow, and if nothing is released, how does the flow of good come forth into our experience if we're clinging to the old? So if you're experiencing any kind of lack, you must release. You got to release it. Surrender it. Let it go. Relax. Create the emptiness. Allow that vacuum law to take hold in your life. Letting go and having faith. That's the big key there. Trusting and having faith that our good is at hand. It's actually right within us. It's right there waiting for us to let go, let God, and just surrender and allow it to come forth into our lives. And so that we'll go into the second condition, which goes with this alignment, which we hear about, right? Alignment. So again, verse 14 of Matthew reads, "And Jesus went out and saw large crowds, and he had pity for them," suggesting a shift in focus from within to without. So that's what we're talking about. The within is the vacuum place. The without is the circumstances. So he was focusing on the people who were surrounding him, feeling their suffering. The author, Matthew, chose a very interesting Greek word to describe this exact nature of the shift from the inner to the outer focus. Although the original word is traditionally translated as filled with pity, a more accurate translation would be filled with compassion. Filled with compassion. And not merely did he feel compassion, but was moved. Remember? Moved by pity, it says. So moved by compassion. And what is compassion but love in action? Love flowing. Divine love. That's what it is. So what does the condition of alignment mean? It means to align ourselves with the true, pure love that is spirit, is unconditional. So this is the second part of aligning. Imagine what Jesus experienced when he came out of the desert. He came out of the desert, this vacuum, this empty place, the state of meditation, and he walked into a state where he was immediately surrounded by these people, an ocean of humanity that was not at their very best. They were hungry, they were tired, they were cranky. They were cranky. So put yourself in his position for a moment. To do what we need to do to get back to the first few words that began this passage when it said, when Jesus heard of it, he departed thence by boat, alone to a desert place. So when Jesus heard what? When he heard, what he heard, what did send him off to the desert in the first place? He heard that his best friend and mentor, John the Baptist, was beheaded. So he was grieving. He went into the desert to grieve, to this place of silence, this meditative place, to grieve the loss of his very good friend. I love that you sang that song, Norman. It was perfect. What might you feel if you were dealing with a terrible sense of grief and you went away to meditate and you came out of meditation and you were surrounded by this crowd of really needy people? They were hungry, they were tired, they were loud, they were sick, they were anxious, they wanted to be healed. You know? And the passage tells us that Jesus' automatic reaction was that of deep concern, deep compassion. So from being upset, and so far from being upset and irritated at the masses, imagine being in this deep meditative state and everything because you're calm and peaceful, and walking out into this large crowd. And it's kind of like conditions that happen in our lives when we go out. You know, we might be in a class or do our own meditation, then we go out into the world and we're like bombarded. So this is in a much more magnified way what we're talking about here. He felt an instant natural love. He was aligned. Natural love for all of these people. And Todd Michael writes, the wording of the scripture also says volumes about what he didn't feel. He didn't judge the people for their shortcomings or react with revulsion or moral condensation. His compassion contained no political agenda. His compassion was an expression of pure, unconditional love. And then Charles Fillmore goes on to describe that. I'll just say one sentence of it, because I don't want this to be too long. Love never sees anything wrong in that which it loves. Think about that. That's unconditional love. Love never sees anything wrong with that which it loves. So how do you feel about others when that they appear all around you as you travel through life? As somebody cuts you off at a light, or you're in the supermarket and somebody jumps up in front of you. How do you feel? Are you in a state of compassion? Do you allow the person to go in front of you in the line at the supermarket? Do you allow the person to go in front of you in the traffic? Just let somebody in. Do you return? This is so small, but it's a part of love and kindness. It's all part of compassion. Do you return the shopping cart to the place where you're supposed to put it to, or leave it by your car? See, those are the kinds of little teeny actions. They look teeny, but they make up the whole part of the alignment that I'm talking about. And if your answer is not often, then at least you're aware of where you need to clear things out to allow this flow to come. If you seriously intend to see miracles in your life, then you will need to intentionally cultivate automatic reflexes instead of reactions, reflexes of compassion. Of compassion. So there you have the first two. This is the first two of the 12 conditions. So emptiness is just clearing away some of those beliefs, some of our limiting thoughts. Clearing away, making a practice, a really deep practice of meditation, so that we can allow the wisdom, the infinite good of God to come in and through us. And then to practice this loving kindness, this compassion, love in the flow, love in action. That is compassion. And then we have 10 more conditions. And the interesting thing is when all 12 of these are put together like a 12-cylinder car, when they're all ignited at the same time, it's so powerful. That's when the miracles occur, because they're activated together. So they're kind of like a door that opens up to the limitless realms of infinite possibilities that Joe spoke of in his prayer. So you'll be very happy to know that you're probably already doing most of these 12 anyway. So it's just fine-tuning the others so that we can create what? Which is good. Just happiness. We want to create happiness. We want to create abundance, because money is a good thing. We want to create loving relationships. This is all we all want. We want freedom. We want to live a life of peace and of love. Do we not?
Yes.
Yes. Say yes to it all.
Yes.
And so we'll continue with that, and so it is.
So it is.